And welcome to a new episode of Game Woven. We've got a really exciting one for you. I am thrilled to be back with some of my best friends and an incredible guest. Today, we will be playing Sanctuary and Sentinel, a Siren Song game.
Hey, Ben, why don't we go around the circle and introduce ourselves?
Yes, I'm T.T. Benjamin.
The extra T is for extra talent.
Lex, why don't you introduce yourself if you're so smart?
Howdy, hey. You can call me they, but I am also named Lex Olden. Hey, how's it going? You having a good time?
I am.
Yes.
I'm glad you're having a good time.
I think that means Zad also wants to introduce themselves next.
Oh, I queued up M, but whatever. Okay.
Hey, my name is Zadkiel Vaske-Huff, and I am here as well. Lex and I are both they, them. I don't know if we're doing, if this is a one where we're doing pronouns, but hey, how's it going?
Hey, everyone should be one we do pronouns, so they never
Everyone
forget
should be
how
one
gay
we
it
do
is in
pronouns.
here.
Exceedingly so. Gay woven, baby.
That's true. Gay woven. Can we hear from Emily?
What is happening? Hello, I'm Emily, also known as was foretold, pronouns they, she.
Bree, who are ya?
I'm Brianna Jean, creator of many things and wrangler of all kinds of chaos, including this group of Chucklefucks and our wonderful guests.
It'd probably be an easier job if you were wranglers, but alas, there was only one of you.
Yeah, just one.
Look, sometimes I'm the wrangler. Sometimes. Which is bizarre.
Yeah, you do make a good guest wrangler for sure.
Yeah. And finally, we have, that's right, a special guest. On a serious note, we here at Game Woven consider one of our most important tenets is that the creators of the games we play are actually guests at our table. Well, today we actually have the creator of this game at our table. I would like to introduce the unbelievable Meghan Cross.
I don't believe it.
Hello! I'm Meghan Cross, the unofficial official game designer of Game Woven. Meghan Cross for Game Woven official game designer 2024. Vote for me.
Vote for
My pronouns are she, her, and I am super excited to be here. It feels like this has been like a million years in the making, and I am so excited that the day is finally here.
And she said yes.
She said yes.
Thank you for agreeing to be part of this absolute chaos and madness.
Oh, I love the chaos.
Yeah, I think we're friends now.
Delicious
We're officially
chaos.
friends. Excellent.
We have done a Meghan Cross game before. We did Advent. That was part of the God Potluck. And also, Meghan Cross just so happened, and we're going to showcase this eventually, but just so happened to write a game inspired by the work we did in Advent called
Starlings by Starlight. I can't remember who it was, but somebody had made what probably in the moment sounded like a throwaway joke at the end of that Advent episode when they said Starlings and Starlight coming soon by Meghan Cross, and lo and behold, no.
That sounds like something Ben would say. That
I
sounds
said
like
I was
something
going to
Ben
do
would
it. And I did it. I did it, and I made it.
She did it.
I did the thing. Sometimes
Honestly,
I do things that I say I'm going to do.
this entire show is built out of throwaway jokes that people have taken too seriously.
That's the whole thing,
Hmm.
honestly.
I respect that.
My players for all my other games have learned you have to be careful when you make a joke around me, because I will take it seriously, and next thing you know, in my superhero game, they were having to go help the hero that had been canceled on Herogram. Someone made a joke, and I was like, I'm running with that.
It's in the world now.
Hey, I take jokes seriously because I'm autistic and can't tell.
Yeah, you never know what's gonna stick. Like every so often, I'm like, no, that one's
That's the one. Yep, that's the one.
that
the one.
one's gonna
Canon.
be a thing.
But actually, what if?
It's also because I'm on a quest to create a game using basically every game from my childhood as game mechanics.
Hell yeah.
Still waiting on Sorry.
Ah, that one's not on the list. So Advent was Yahtzee.
Yep.
Gonna
Starlings by Starlight is Memory Snap. I'm working on one right now that uses Battleship.
Yes.
Okay, solid. Yeah.
Yes.
How are you so cool?
It's really quite unfair. You should share some with the rest of us.
Not Ben, though.
Not me, though,
There's
apparently.
no helping
Yeah,
Ben.
fuck that guy.
No, wait, come back. I didn't
dumping it
come
into a
here to
hole.
be spoken to in this way. I need to go.
You know what you did come here for, though? Playing a
Just
game.
play a game.
So we're going to play Sanctuary. It is the first half of a two-parter, Sanctuary and Sentinel. And I will read the opening text thusly. Sanctuary is a map-making and storytelling game about a place of great power. The Guardians charged with protecting it, and the threat seeking to take the power for themselves. Throughout play, you will create a map of the Sanctuary, as well as the Guardians who inhabit and protect it, and the threat they have sworn to defeat. Then, the battle will begin, a battle that takes place over the course of many confrontations between the Guardians and the threat, all culminating with the last stand, where the threat is defeated at great cost. What Sanctuary will you create? Who are the Guardians sworn to protect it? And what is the looming threat? The choices are yours. Those are the words of Meghan Cross in Sanctuary. This is the inaugural episode of our next arc, so we're kind of using this as a vehicle to introduce a new setting, hopefully a little bit separated from some of the places we've established previously. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on our guest Meghan here to open up. You probably know this, but the setting is basically kitchen sink fantasy. I don't want to get into the details beyond that because I want you to just go ahead and feel free and cool to do your thing. So, as you prepare to build the map of your sanctuary, it is important to think about what the power of the sanctuary is. The form this power takes can be anything you wish. The only requisite is that it is a power the Guardians are willing to risk their lives to protect, and the threat is willing to kill to obtain. So, for Meghan, some guiding questions to help her discern the nature of the sanctuary's power. Meghan, what is the source of the power?
Feel free to go weird. We don't care here.
Yeah, real weird.
Utterly fearless.
I am, if nothing else, very, very true to a brand. And my immediate thought that came to mind when I was like, what is the sort of power? My immediate thought was water, because I'm a water sign. I'm a water sign 3 times over. I love the water. And then beyond that, I go, fish.
Fish.
So my mind immediately, in like the 20 minutes since you said, Meghan, I'm going to make you decide these things, and my anxiety brain started going, gotta figure something out, gotta figure this out. My brain just goes, magic fish. And I said, okay, but why are they magic? Why are these fish magic? Because I'm looking ahead to the questions.
Okay, source of the power is magic. Form the power takes, fish, magic fish. So we have those right there. What makes our magic fish worth protecting?
Quick question. One magic fish, a bunch of magic fish, or like entirely too many magic fish?
I was actually about to ask that.
A whole ass ocean of magic fish.
So many fucking magic fish, you will.
Like,
I think like a koi pond's worth, like a slightly overpopulated koi pond's worth of magic fish.
that's still a lot of fish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's quite
I've
a few
seen some
fish,
koi
actually.
ponds
That's
with
like-
a lot of fish.
That's like 100
Yeah.
fish.
You want to need to protect it.
Yeah.
It's almost 100.
It's very October Day.
It's for sure more than 8.
Okay, so we have somewhere between 8 and 100 magic fish.
Uh-huh.
What makes them worth protecting?
The other thing that I've been bringing to basically everything all of my game ideas lately have all been to do with the idea of memory. And the concept of memory is something that has been really deeply ingrained in basically everything I've been doing lately. So what if each of these fish holds a memory of some kind of forgotten knowledge, like some knowledge that has been lost in this world, but it had been preserved within this water and is now held within these fish. So it's not even just that the guardians are protecting the power in the fish themselves, like they are protecting memories of knowledge to keep this knowledge from being lost.
Can I set like a ritual kind of on top of that?
100%.
So the guardians, in times of great tribulation, when things seem dire, we know that the fish are eternal. They're always going to be there as long as you don't disturb them, as long as they stay in the pond. That's fine. But they are also holding on to these pieces of knowledge. We don't know what they are. Nobody does because they're inside the fish. But what you do when things seem to be at their bleakest, you catch one of the fish. It's prepared and eaten by one of the guardians, by them all collectively. And then they gain access to whatever memory, whatever secret that fish was holding. And so there's maybe at one point there were like 100 of these fish and there's only 8 of them left. And like you can rework the knowledge that this fish is holding back into your general practice, but it can just get lost again because it was going to get lost the first time, and then that's why they put it in the fish.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I think it's no matter what the circumstances is, it's always like whatever knowledge they gain from the fish, it is always exactly what they need at that moment.
The right fish presents itself to be eaten.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was thinking that myself. Like it's like, oh, we have a problem, and then you go to the pond and like one fish swims up, and it's like, oh shit. And that could actually be, there's some omen attached to it too, because if you're just going to feed the fish and normally they all swim up, and you're feeding the fish and then like only one pops up, you're like, ah shit.
Oh shit.
I think there's probably more than 8 still.
Pretty much since you mentioned water, I have been unable to stop thinking about my character from the god potluck, Latheris, who's the goddess of water and undeath, and I'm like, she's connected to this somehow.
I've been actively choosing to not comment on anything we've already done.
Oh,
And I'm not saying that I was listening to Cross Stitch today and had that in the back of my mind too, but my mind also always goes to water.
And didn't you also say that Lystera's like form of undeath is not necessarily always sort of the grotesque, nasty zombie kind, but sometimes it's just deals with like being an eternal being?
Yeah, it's more fountain of youth then. So she might have, like, in conjunction with another god, maybe helped create this.
The forever fish.
Yeah, there could be something in there.
I mean, Latheris is not the god of knowledge, so there's definitely something else there.
There's probably a decent number of fish there. They have dwindled since like the first discovery of them, but just these I just picture them as like magic celestial koi fish.
Yeah, and it would seem like the sanctuary comes up around this. Like the sanctuary wasn't built and then then the fish were put in. Like this was discovered and a sanctuary has grown up since the discovery, which I think is cool. So we're protecting the magical, eternal koi fish of knowledge.
Normal sentence.
Yeah, a completely average sentence. Honestly, for this podcast, that was pretty tame.
Yep.
Yeah.
To create the map of your sanctuary, you'll need all of the diamond-suited playing cards, which I have, as well as something to write on, which we can do a Google Doc, and then an empty play space, which we are using Owlbear Radio, which we used for the skeletons to keep track of the what?
Rodeo.
Owlbear Rodeo.
Oh God, I thought it was radio, and I did like a radio voice. We are using Owlbear Rodeo.
You could have done a rodeo voice.
We're using Owlbear Rodeo. I hated that. That was not. We can't do that.
No, please don't.
Nope.
Got it in
Nope.
one.
Nope, can't do it.
Yeehaw, even.
I reckon. You've yeed your last haw.
I have yeed my last paw. It says you play the cards face down in the play space. We're gonna do them one at a time, and that will serve as the map. So we're playing the cards, and then that creates the map of the sanctuary. Once cards are in the arrangement, we flip them, answer prompts, and flesh out the sanctuary. Once we have finished fleshing out the sanctuary, we're gonna do about 5 or 6 cards. Then we will deal with the conflict between the guardians and the threat. What we don't do is we don't talk about the threat until we start getting prompted by it. So, because I don't see anything for that in here. So, we will get to what threatens the pond.
Threat.
So, who wants to go first? I made Megan go first for the probably the hardest prompts. So, who wants to take the first card reveal?
Just gonna recline my chair back.
I see Zad. Zad has
I'll
put
take it,
both
yeah,
of their
absolutely.
hands up in a shrugging motion. So we will assume Zad says I will go first. Shrugging potion of shrugging.
Ben's having a bit of difficulty speaking today.
Yeah, we just go in a circle from Meg.
We'll go clockwise. So that'll go Zad. Zad, I have drawn the King of Diamonds. This room is a place considered sacred. The first question is this place kept from most, or can anyone visit? Bonus points if you're able to say something that isn't the koi pond.
Something that isn't the koi pond. It's attached to the main kitchen you've got your dining hall where all of the guardians eat. And off from the side of the kitchen, there's a second smaller kitchen that is always kept locked and nobody is allowed to go in there. That is the room that you prepare one of these sacred koi fish in when it's going to be eaten. It's only ever prepared in that room. Nothing else is ever prepared in there. And I think the only person who's ever allowed in there is the person who pulled the fish out of the pond, the person that the fish presented themselves to. So, like you said, it could be a thing where the community comes together and decides that they're going to fish one out, in which case some sort of notable official would be the one that drops the line in. I think one time it was a 12-year-old kid was just skipping down by the pond, threw half a sandwich in, and a fish jumped out and landed in their hands. And everybody was like, well, I guess you gotta go cook a fish now, kid. So that is the sacred kitchen, the sacred place of preparation to eat these fish.
Yeah, the preparation room.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lex, what happened in the preparation room for that to be deemed as sacred?
So we said when we cook the fish, everybody eats fish? Everybody?
Do we want that to be the case?
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little more interesting if the person who fished it out either is the one that eats it or, like a true nobility thing, chooses a champion to take on the knowledge.
So what I was thinking was, if this knowledge is lost and sacred for a reason, and whoever takes the burden of being the one to eat the fish doesn't survive it, is what I was thinking maybe.
Oh, interesting. Like, they die from eating it, or?
Yeah. That's my thought, but obviously, like always, you can veto anything I say if you don't like it.
Not trying to veto, trying to sort of figure out.
How the knowledge would then get passed on.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not immediate. It's when you do this, you have a year left, or
Yeah.
something like that.
You become responsible to utilize that knowledge to finish some
Mhm.
great work, and as soon as that great work is completed, then you just like drop dead. To pull back into that like theme of life and unlife, the person who has eaten the fish cannot die until their work is done.
It can also be as simple as one person at a time is on the fish death timer until the next fish is eaten, then they heal over.
I could imagine like multiple people like carrying around certain like heavy pieces of knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
waiting for their turn to like do their great work. Maybe they have a sense for it, maybe they don't, maybe they're trying to avoid it. But of course, ironically, by trying to avoid it, they move
Yeah,
themselves
do it.
ever closer
Yeah.
to it. You know, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of if you eat it, you're doomed.
Yeah.
Something like that. I'm kind of into.
You are bound to the fate that the fish will show you with
Mhm.
the knowledge that it gives you. You will use that knowledge, something great will happen. And
That's it.
once you know what's coming, you can't escape.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.
Anyway, the room's sacred. We said the room's where they prepare the fish, right?
Yeah.
And then then that's the room where someone eats the fish, dooming themselves. I guess it's like they have like a one-person meal by themselves. I don't know.
Well, it becomes like a sacrificial thing on 2 levels because it's the fish
Yeah.
giving themselves to give the person the knowledge, and then it's the person who is willingly gaining this knowledge knowing that it limits their life in a very drastic way, but they willingly accept that.
Maybe there's like a vigil that goes along with it, where it's just like the person has
Mhm.
to like comes to terms with what's going to happen, and maybe there's previous fish eaters will like leave notes and messages behind
Oh,
to whoever
yeah.
comes next.
I love that.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just imagine like the Avatar state, and it's not like a literal note. It's when you eat the fish. You
It's a
see
fish room.
the spirit of past fish eater.
You see the spirits.
Yeah,
Could
I
be,
was
or-
picturing
yeah.
more of there's just like this cabinet full of notebooks that even when like occasionally people have to like go into like clean supplies and stuff, but it's you just don't open that cabinet.
Question. What do they do with the bones?
Oh, it's for sure used in some ornamental way on like a.
The bones and the scales.
The scales, I have no idea if you can do anything with fish scale.
Oh, you can do anything with fish scales.
I can only imagine that the fish eater has something fashioned for them to wear. The fish eater. I know it's a ridiculous thing to say, but like, I think that the person who eats the fish, like someone fashions like an armband or something to signify like I have eaten of the sacred koi.
Like a whole lot of piercings with fish bones.
Yeah.
Is-
Ooh.
Are they for sure doing this alone, or is there somebody in to witness to make sure that they actually do consume the fish and follow through with their duty?
I prefer it to be a fully solitary act. If this is like a profound act of self-sacrifice, that's my immediate instinct.
Like, I could imagine people waiting outside.
Mhm.
You are escorted in, and then people are waiting for you
Yeah.
Mhm.
when you're done, but like it's something you do by yourself.
Nobody eats for the entirety of the time that you're in the room.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like the rest of the kitchen gets shut down, nothing.
And it's just absolutely unthinkable to waste the sacrifice of a fish.
But I could also see like a folktale that they spread around where they're like, oh yeah, I heard there was this one dude, Ted, who went in and tried to hide the fish and escape with it, and he didn't eat the fish. And, you know, great ruination befell the town until it was discovered. Like,
Curse you, Ted Jones.
all right, Emily, you actually get probably the most fun question for this room.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you get the really fun one. Okay. This is for the Guardians. So you're going to talk about the Guardians here. What abilities, mundane or supernatural, do the Guardians have?
we're creating them very knowledge focused, but it's knowledge that is mostly lost to the world. They are the last ones to encounter this knowledge. So I feel like they have some sort of innate ability to know if something is fact, if something is true. Like to be able to recognize, even if they don't know this knowledge themselves, that yes, you are telling the actual knowledge. You are not trying to lie.
Oh, okay. Every guardian is able to discern if people are speaking truthfully.
Yeah, once you've been accepted as a guardian, you can just, a Mildred.
That wasn't Mildred. That was a different
It
dog.
wasn't
For once.
Whose dog?
It was Megan's dog. We love dogs here.
What's their name?
Kima in Indiana.
Did you?
We named the dog Indiana.
I love that.
I have another question about the Guardians for you, just as a follow-up here, Emily. So all the Guardians can discern lies, basically, or discern whether things are true or not. Do they eat fish to do it, or are they in like a separate, like, is it separate from the fish that they gain these powers?
I think this is separate from the eating of the fish. It's once you've become accepted as a guardian, you're not visiting here, you are a part of it, then you learn to hone the skill. I think it increases over time from having just a sense to knowing, yeah, you just flat out lied to me. But I wonder if it's knowing lies or just false truths.
Can I propose something?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
you can.
You gain this ability by drinking the fish water.
That was my thought.
Ooh,
Is drinking the
yeah.
water.
Yeah.
Metaphorically and literally.
Yeah, because like as part of the initiation rites, like if eating the fish kills you, like obviously all of the guardians don't eat the fish because
Yeah.
the guardians need to exist to guard the fish. But if becoming a guardian, if the water is what gives the fish their power, the water can also give the guardians their powers.
Yes.
I had a thought related to that. If the last step of becoming a guardian is you have to go down to the pond and like fill your cup, and if the fish let you, that means you're accepted, and then you take the drink, and that kind of solidifies the power. But if the fish start like swarming you and like push your cup out of the water, you've been rejected.
I wonder if you even wade into a bit of the water, like if there's a little staircase into part of it that you can walk down and have the fish accept you.
Like a koi fish baptism.
Kinda.
The only time anyone is ever allowed to wade is specifically when they're doing the initiation. And I think that's also done alone. I feel like there's a lot of loneliness in sort of this. And part of it is, okay, so here's kind of a fun idea. So let's say someone wades in, the fish reject them. They come back and they're like, oh yeah, I'm a guardian now. The fish were totally down with it. And all the other guardians are like, you're full of shit. You know we know how to live our lives.
Out of here.
The good ones who want a chance to do something more for it someday just go up a different entrance. Like there's two ways in, and they just take the back way out and leave. Just straight out leave.
Oh, yeah.
Can I make a maybe another suggestion for powers they might get if it's beyond that? The fish are about knowledge. What if they also all like just come out with like expertise in some field as part of the process? Like a guy walks out, is like, I'm an engineer now.
No, I'm really good at origami.
Some guy walks out, I'm the best doctor in the world all of a sudden.
Well, and once again, so when you eat the fish, it gives you the knowledge of the thing that is needed the most.
Yeah, the lost knowledge.
And when you become accepted as a guardian, it also grants that person the skill that would be very useful. So someone comes out as an engineer and people will be like, oh yeah, we totally need one of those to fix like the West Wing or whatever. Someone comes out and it's like, oh yeah, I'm a sharpshooter now. And everyone's like, God damn it, no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Here we go again.
yeah.
Like, I know Kung Fu.
And I'm
Time to defend up the defenses.
I'm a musical theater director.
oh,
And everyone's like, yes, good,
Yes.
20 years of peace. You know, like.
I would also guess that means that like part of living there is everyone takes turns teaching everyone else the thing they learned.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
Ooh.
feel like sharing knowledge would be important because once the fish is eaten, that means like that knowledge is no longer saved in the fish and it can be
Mhm.
lost. So
Hmm.
That's actually a really important note because we do want to build, and we're not going to do that in this game, but we are planning on looking at the society sort of around the sanctuary. And so, like, knowing that knowledge and sharing knowledge is important to that society, we'll make a quick mental note of that and come back to that in a future game. I do want to continue. We are one card in, and this is
Yes.
fucking awesome. This is outstanding. This is so good.
It's a little early, but I am going to give this game the stamp of weavy, I think.
Oh yeah, this is very
yeah.
weavy.
Oh yeah.
It's getting pretty
Certi-
weavy.
Certified weavy.
Is that good?
that's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
It means we love it.
It means it fits really well with our vibe here.
Yeah.
Weavy approved.
Okay, so the next person who will get a card prompt is Lex. What I think we'll do is we'll let you choose, after I give you the prompt, where this is located in the sanctuary. Right? So let's do the prompt. I have drawn the 8 of diamonds.
Why are we laughing?
I'm
On brand.
this
I
is
read
so
the
good.
prompt.
Yeah, Zad read the prompt. This prompt is about the main source of water. What kind of water source is this, Lex?
Make it weird, Lex.
I
Probably not the koi water though. That's not everyday water.
no, it's just because we've established as a koi pond, so having another source of water seems superfluous. So this could be where the koi pond is, I guess.
We're like upstream from the koi pond, where like something that feeds into the koi pond.
I mean, they need water that they can drink outside of the ritual, probably.
Yeah, like not less magical water. Mundane water.
Yeah, I guess the non-fish water. So a thought that came to mind is that why would we not want the fish to be able to explore the sanctuary? So I imagine there's like almost like magical aqueducts going throughout the sanctuary and around the wall, upside down, like through places.
It's kind of like the fancy runoff gutters in Japan that they turned into koi fish ponds.
Oh,
Yeah,
They're on the side of the roads that you actually have just koi fish and plants growing in them to use the rainwater.
cool.
Sick.
I imagine just like the water's in the wall, like they can go up and straight around or whatever, and just like throughout all the walls, and just like
Oh, it's like one of those like really complicated hamster enclosures where it's like there's tubes going everywhere. You see those like
Yeah,
palaces where you've just
Mhm.
and it's just tubes for fish.
yeah, but the water isn't like in a tube; it's like magical, so it's just like sticking to the wall somehow.
oh,
Like,
fun.
Wait, what?
Like you just like put your hand in the aqueduct if you feel like it.
Oh,
Yeah. And I imagine the water is all coming out of in this room that we're adding. They're just like a big ass like conch shell maybe that like pours water upward into the ceiling and it like spreads throughout the
Huh.
sanctuary.
That's cool
That's
and I love it.
Sick. I'm into that.
And the conch water is safe to drink, no fish powers
Yeah.
from it.
Yeah. Where's this room in relationship to the prep room? Is it adjacent? Is it somewhere else?
Are we assuming the koi pond's dead center of this place? Is that the assumption? And we're building everything
Yeah.
around it?
God, it's almost gotta be, right?
yeah.
Yeah, like it has to be. It has to be like a perfectly circular koi pond dead center of whatever this fish castle thing is.
The sanctuary was mostly built up around it. That's why
Yeah.
on the
Mhm.
map I put just a little blue circle.
But yeah, I imagine it'd be maybe it's even like in the entrance, you know, like when you walk in, first thing you see
Oh, it's in the freaking lobby. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, you walk in, there's this conch, it's shooting water like into the walls. Oh,
Yeah.
I love
We
that.
love
Okay,
a
so
good
it's
water feature.
Welcome to the sanctuary. This is our magic conch shell.
It's perfectly normal.
I wonder if, like, how they know a visitor is supposed to say is fish just follow them.
I'm sure the fish are like super curious and probably cute and playful a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
because I want to love them.
I do love them.
And they've all got names and little personalities like pets, and,
Oh, yeah.
and everyone has their favorite and that kind of stuff.
Oftentimes, the favorite is the one you end up having to eat.
Don't name them. You gotta eat them. Don't do that.
Isn't that fucking sad as hell? I love it. Emily, is there fear of losing the water source?
I think no. I think the water itself, because it is so connected to the pond, as long as the fish are around, the water remains. They'll notice way beforehand if it's getting close to dangerous, because they'll be able to tell, hey, we only have like 2 fish left in the pond. Now we're almost out of everything.
Got it. That makes sense to me. I feel so. There is a question: how does the sanctuary's power reflect in the water? I think we've really well established that, given that the water travels through the walls and the fish can use that as like a little fish highway. So, Bree, you get a question, a fun one. This is good. So you are going to answer for the threat. We don't know who the threat is yet. We'll get there, but you're just going to answer for it.
The fishmongers.
It was capitalism.
It's always capitalism. Continue.
How does the threat know that the sanctuary and its power exist?
The water that's there wasn't always there. That water was from somewhere else.
Oh.
It's here now, and it's very well protected. It was probably moved for a reason. But there's someone who knows that outside of Sanctuary that water exists, and they want it.
Oh, okay.
So potentially the guardians of the scaled bastion, fish castle.
We'll keep workshopping the name here.
Yeah, guardians of the fish castle. Did they steal it? Did they go, our fish need water, then stole it?
No, I think it might have been. This would have been like a long time ago. Was my thought before anyone found the sanctuary. The water had once been somewhere else, but the goddess of water is like, no, I'm going to put it here, far away from.
Ooh, I have an idea. This might be a little fun. Let me know if we like this. It was a long time ago, and the water was given by we're talking a long time ago. The water was a gift from someone who is now the threat, or from some group of people who are now the threat. And those people who gave it 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago to the sanctuary as a gift, they no longer have access to this type of water anymore. And they want it back. They're like, we gave this to you 2,000 years ago. We want it.
Yeah, they're like mid-drought, and it's like, if we hadn't given you that, we'd be fine right now.
Mm-hmm.
The sanctuary is just like, no, you can't.
No
have that.
takey backsies.
No takesies backsies.
No takesy backsies.
We need it for our magic fish.
Yeah, we have magic fish, dude. It's a little more important.
So let's keep that in mind, that the threat used to have access to this type of water and basically doesn't anymore, or is almost out. So they'll take any source they can. So we'll put a pin in that as we flesh the threat out. We'll keep that in mind. But Emily, it's your turn for a prompt.
Oh my.
The 2 of diamonds. Yeah, baby. An area that bears the scar of disaster. What kind of disaster struck this place?
Oh.
And then you'll want to place it somewhere on the map as well.
We have a lovely general outline of the map now from our magical fish traveling system.
Ah.
Let's see. We've kind of oriented this building north to south.
Mm-hmm.
We're water-based. So Who knows where we are, but we could be on a coast. I'm going to place it first. North corner.
The northeast corner of the sanctuary, okay, is a place that bears the scar of disaster.
Yeah, there's a section of the outer wall, I think, that was heavily damaged and is yet to be fully repaired.
The prompt is, what kind of disaster struck this place? So what caused the damage?
It was a natural disaster, but one that maybe might be a little godly in origin. They're not sure.
What kind of natural disaster? Lightning? We talking an avalanche? Flooding?
I'm thinking lightning,
Okay.
because with the way that we're implying the building materials potentially, you could do some really cool shit to it if you hit it with a whole bunch of lightning. So it's like a physical scar where the walls itself melted and fused, and they haven't been able to really attach something new to it.
Okay. All right. Bree, how did this area look before the disaster? And in detail, what does it look like now?
Well, something that I've kind of been picturing, and I'm not really sure why, is I picture that we're like in the middle of a desert, maybe?
Okay.
So, from the outside, it's a stone building, but it's shaped so it kind of like blends in almost.
Mm-hmm.
It's shaped so it looks like sand dunes. So there is now this one part that this like the sand and the stone were like blasted into this glass. So there's now this section where it used to just look like, you know, like the side of a particular sand dune that is like partially see-through and like glints in the light. And sometimes if you're passing by, you can occasionally see a fish. So they've been trying to like find some way to cover it up. I think it's so big and the sands shift so much that like the building is decently easy enough to hide, but it's hard to hide the big like glass corner, especially with how much it reflects the sunlight.
I like that a lot.
This is why they are excited about getting an engineer.
Yeah. Maybe the engineer can fix it. Hint, hint, he can't.
Now without a good meal of fish, you can't.
Megan, I feel like this question has kind of been answered. So the question is, how has the sanctuary's power been weakened as a result? Which, to me, sounds like it's been weakened because its secrecy has been compromised. But do you have something to add, or do you want the next question?
Yeah, I like the idea that its location has been given away. I also think that maybe the water doesn't flow there anymore. The route, the magic fish movement system that runs throughout the sanctuary doesn't go to that area anymore because there's just the power there is weaker now, and the water stream is diverted to avoid that section of the sanctuary and kind of goes around it.
Yeah.
But there's like a section of water that has a single fish in it.
Oh,
So it's kind of like cut off and stuck in the room. So there's just this one fish that people have to check on regularly just in case it's trying to get someone to eat it.
There's just a bundle of water that's stuck in the glass portion, or like in between two of the branches of the lightning.
Yeah, that's Lightning Jim over there.
They call me Lightning Jim.
Oh
On
god,
account
the
of
fish
the
can talk.
lightning.
On account of the lightning.
Whenever you hear a tapping sound over there, people get paranoid that, like, that's the fish. Like, how do you get it out?
Oh, Lightning Jim, you card. Megan, you said you wanted both, so I'll throw it for
Yeah.
you. Answer for either the Guardians or the threat. Where did or do they come from? Either the Guardians or the threat.
Yeah, so I'm going to answer this for the threat. Now that we have established that we are in a deserty type location, I think that the Guardians don't really know where the threat comes from. I think that what happens is when the sand starts to pick up, like when a sandstorm starts to pick up and it starts whipping around, in the visibility becomes like impossible to see through the sand. As soon as the wind dies down again, the threat is just there.
Or is the threat there so long as the sandstorm is? It comes with the storm and it's gone,
Yeah.
so they don't never get to see what it looks like.
Right. Exactly. Like the Guardians don't know where they come from. They don't know what direction they come from. They don't know how they travel. They just know that if there is a sandstorm, there is a non-zero chance that as soon as it clears, the threat will be there, ready to attack. It doesn't happen every time, but that is how they approach the sanctuary. So it could be that they are traveling via sand. It could be that they are using the sand to obscure their movements and obscure where they live, but they are able to use that as their means of disguising their movements. So as far as the Guardians know, the threat appears when sandstorms clear, the threat appears.
Remember, kids, when sandstorm clears, the threat appears. The more you
Love a good
know.
line.
So grab your
Love a good
spears.
And perk your ears.
Nope.
Remember,
We're done.
Nope. Lex is over it. We're done. Vince over.
remember, Cody the koi fish says,
Cody the koi fish.
By the way, I think we accidentally stumbled into geographical correctness in that I decided to check where koi fish are actually native to. Apparently, they're from the Caspian Sea, which is like neighbors of desert, as far as I can tell. So,
Outstanding. We did it.
Hey,
Woohoo!
hey.
Right.
Game woven, baby.
a prepared guardian is a safe guardian.
The
I
only thing I
spent-
looked up is, can you eat koi fish?
oh,
They're magic.
I can, but I'm built
Fine.
different. Let's turn another card. This is Bree's prompt. Bree, are you ready?
Yes.
The Seven of Diamonds. Oh, this is lovely. A place of quiet rest. Your prompt is, how has nature uniquely shaped this place of quiet rest? So what is the place and how has nature shaped it?
Basically, there's a little garden where they're able to grow flowers, a little bit of food, medicinal, like not enough to where they'd be able to like sell or trade, but enough to help sustain themselves. And there might be like a little waterfall that kind of where it like trickles down, and sometimes people will just go there to sit and meditate and think on things, and occasionally a fish will come up and play with them, and they bond with the fish.
Where is this in relation to the koi pond in the center?
Off to the side, almost.
So to the east of it, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's just this little garden where between the water and soil conditions, and a lot of people put work into tending it. It's part of what they do between sandstorms, because usually it's really easy to see if anything's coming, but when you see the horizon starts to disappear, it's time to stop the gardening. They're coming.
All right, so we've got like the community garden and it's got a nice waterfall.
Yeah.
I'm imagining a cactus or two.
Just a couple of tasteful cacti. Megan, what marks this as a place of rest?
It's very quiet. Not just because people are quiet when they're there. There's just something about the nature of this space that when you go into it, it's almost like everything else just dull, like the sound, like everything else outside just dulls. And even though you're not entering like a room, as it were, it's more of just like this garden space with no like set walls or enclosure, so like it doesn't make sense that it's quieter there. It's as if the sanctuary itself has marked this place as a place that you can relax and reflect and focus on what you've come there to do, that the noise of the outside is muffled while you are in there, and it allows you to focus on what you are doing while you're there.
I think by contrast, the rest of the sanctuary, the whole thing, constant sound of flowing water everywhere. It is a nonstop white noise, and the only place that you don't hear it is when you go into this specific room, and then it just fades into nothing in the background.
And it's just a very serene, calm, quiet, not an uncomfortable like when you're used to white noise, like sometimes silence can be very uncomfortable, but it's like a comforting quiet.
It's like taking off a backpack at the end of the day kind of silence. It just feels like you're losing a weight.
It's an exhale.
Yeah.
You're just like, okay.
I wonder if instead of gardening in rows, it's more curved, so it's kind of like your own little meditation labyrinth to walk through the garden and tend to the plants.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, less stringent setup. It's just kind of, as the spirit moves you to plant, just plant it in however it grows type of thing. I like that a lot.
I like that, yeah. Feel like we've answered this, Zad, so we're going to skip straight to the Guardian's question for you. Zad, how many Guardians are there?
But I asked just for curiosity, what was the question we're skipping?
The question we're skipping is, how does the Sanctuary's power promote calmness here?
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yes, that's
I think we've pretty well covered that. How many Guardians, Zad?
Okay, so I just rolled a d4 and was like, okay, how many places does this number have? And I got a 4. So how does 1,000 feel?
Whoa, 1,000 Guardians.
Yeah. Not 1,000 that live within the sanctuary at any given time. They all acquire these skills, and those skills are necessary for... You go in and you get good at a hobby, right? Or you get good at a task, a profession. And so a lot of them are working. And, like a musical theater director is not going to be immediately helpful to the sanctuary, but might be helpful to a city down the line. So if you pick up a skill that's just not necessary, kind of useless for the sanctuary, they might send you to somewhere where it is, or you will be petitioned to go out to some other place. If that sounds...
Or you'll become a professional in the community.
Yeah, maybe that's how they make their income, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're just like fully just like a cloister of like monks, effectively.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a collection of people who are known for being the best in your field of whatever that field is, you can just go demand incredibly high prices for whatever it is you do, and then send half of it back to the fish boys.
So then how many live in the sanctuary?
In the sanctuary at any given time, I think we'll say... Sorry, because it's hard numbers, I'm just rolling dice on it.
That's fine.
If you give me 2 seconds here. Within the sanctuary at any given time, 54 is what came up. So like in that, between the acolytes, the people who actually live there, 50-ish.
Well, I'm sure that there's ranks and stuff too. Like,
Yeah, that feels good.
and I'm sure like of those 50, 10%, maybe 20% are actually like skilled warriors or magicians or anything, and the rest are like, you might have a master gardener who sticks around.
Remember what we said, like we established that like they get together to share that knowledge?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine like there's like, yeah, there is the one guy who's the sword guy, but imagine a bunch of people also learn how to wield sword from the sword guy
Yeah.
or whatever, right?
We have
Yeah.
a really great apprenticeship program.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Because this place is mostly secret aside from, the big glass chunk out of it. Do people ever get invited here? Or is this like solely just a bunch of scholars hidden in the desert?
I think that there's probably a community that surrounds this place, and it's probably very insular, both because they're desert dwelling and so isolated, but also because they know how important this place is. And so,
Mhm.
like, to outsiders, they probably don't talk too much about the sanctuary. It's just, for some reason, people respect this community as, like, for some reason, they just randomly pull out these really incredibly talented people.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
And there might occasionally be people who they don't know why, they just feel like they need to go wander out into that desert and they find their way there. And there might also be instances of someone from the sanctuary finds someone, they're like, I couldn't tell you why, but I feel like there's this place you need to see. I need to see if the fish like you.
They call those people fish food.
Someone catches a fish and then all of a sudden has a dream about a weird place in the
Yeah.
middle of the desert.
And, like,
Yes.
They all have the ability to magically vibe check someone, so they're not gonna like send someone untrustworthy there accidentally.
That's true.
Yeah.
So there's 50 in the sanctuary, there's maybe 100 in the community surrounding the sanctuary, and then there's up to 1,000 out in the world at any given time. I think that given that there's also like this sense of vibes going on where people get vague impressions of what they should do or where they should go, the people that are out away from the community doing their thing and plying their trade, if the sanctuary is truly in danger, every single one of them is expected to respond to the call to return home and defend the sanctuary. Wherever they are, whatever they're doing, if they get this feeling like you need to come home right now, they got to drop everything and get the fuck back home.
Yeah, because here's the thing. It's all water-based. It's all water-based. There's a water cycle. The water goes and circulates through everywhere. So
Woo.
you've always got a connection, no matter how far away from the sanctuary you go.
You take a sip of water and all of a sudden you're like, I gotta go home.
Mhm.
Step in a puddle. Oh no, the sanctuary's in trouble. Run.
I just realized whatever we call this place, it's got to be a school of some kind.
Oh.
Yeah, say a school or even a shoal, which is another form of
Shoal's pretty good.
group of fish.
I'm not gonna lie, it actually took me a second.
Lex is still making that face. Lex is married to the bit. I think that's outstanding. I think that's great, and I love it. And that was Bree's prompt, so we're going to go to Megan's prompt.
My very own prompt.
Megan, you wrote this, right? This game?
Somebody must have.
Megan, your prompt, the Queen of Diamonds. A place used for gatherings. The question is, what makes this spot ideal for gatherings? But this is a gathering spot.
So I think that this place is. I'm thinking. I don't know how to draw on this thing, so I'm just gonna use.
You can just tell us where it is. And
I'm gonna paint a word picture and then count on someone who knows what they're doing to kind of drop.
We got you.
Opposite corner is the big glass corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, up in the northwest, it looks like.
Get out of here, old thought. New thought coming in. Here it is. Let's go. At one point, the whole back of the sanctuary was one big space, including this broken corner piece. But when that piece broke off, they kind of had to maintain the structural integrity of the sanctuary and also maintain the secrecy and hiddenness of it. They had to kind of close off part. So now the gathering space is the corner of it rather than the whole back spot. And I think what makes it so ideal for gatherings is that it is all glass. It's bright. It's got giant vaulted ceilings. And the ceilings are like multicolored sea glass. So they're all blues and greens. glass ceiling. So when you're in this gathering space, it looks like you're underwater. When the sun comes through the glass ceilings
Love
in
it.
all the different shades of blues and greens, it looks like you're underwater. And it's just a place that's so full of light, and the water that's flowing, this constant flow of water that exists in the sanctuary. And the fish are swimming and the water is flowing, and it's probably the only place in the sanctuary that all of the guardians could fit at the same time. So it's a place that brings them all together. And it's just really beautiful. Big, bright, beautiful.
I love it.
I imagine it might also be where they do the teaching, like where it's like the classroom, effectively. You know?
Ooh.
Maybe it's like kind of also kind of got like amphitheater seating.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was thinking schooling. I was thinking also like when new guardians, if they pass the fish vibe check, the celebrations they have like for new guardians, they have there as like a presentation of new guardians. Any kind of event, any kind of joyous celebratory event, as opposed to like the solemnity and isolatingness that is the ritual of like the eating of the fish, which is something that is just as important, but is something that is done very alone, but supported. This is something that is very supported with everybody being there and surrounding you in sharing that joy and celebration and sharing the knowledge.
So we're bad at naming things here on the Game Woven podcast, famously so.
For yourself.
So I would like you, who are good at naming things, to name 2 things for me, and then I'll move on with the prompts. I want you to name the title of the people who eat the fish, and I want you to name the title that they call the Guardians, because those are 2 separate groups of people, right? The Guardians drink the water and get expert skills. The fish eaters eat the fish and gain forbidden knowledge and then are doomed.
Does anyone know the snake eater theme? Because every time you say fish eater,
What a thrill!
I do enjoy some Metal Gear Solid.
True.
also pescatarians.
So my first thought that I had for like the Guardians is something to play on Veritas Akitas, which is truth in water. Veraquins or something in that.
Veraquins. Ooh. Can I put an A-E in there? Like V-A-E-R-A-Q-I-S? Veraquins?
Or the Veracqui.
Veraqui?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. V-E-R-A-Q-U-I. Veraqui? I'm into that. Ooh.
I don't know what this accent is, but my brain wants to read that in this accent. Veraki.
Veraqui.
Because, the VER is true, and then the aqua is water.
Water.
Okay, so we've got Veraqui. What if this shares the same etymological root as Verdreen?
Oh.
What if it does?
Veraqui and Verdreen. Like,
Truth in water and truth in plants.
Yeah, something like that, because we got Verdreen.
Sure, that's what dream means.
We can declare that what dream means, because it's our
We
show.
can do that. True. We make the rules.
So the Guardians are the Veraqui. What about the doomed people that actually eat the fish? Fish eater!
They're inheritors, they're recipients, they're heirs, they're trustees, they're...
Trustee is an interesting one. I'm going to throw that into thesaurus.com we got.
Trustee is a really interesting one. Yeah, let's find some words that are like trustee, because trustee sort of implies that like they're also carrying a burden, like they have a responsibility.
Yeah.
Maybe just the trusted.
Because that's what I want to get down to, is like, it is like they are receiving a gift, but it is a gift received. It is a burden as much as it is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Executrix, EXECUTRIX. That's probably just like a. I don't love the just slap an X on the end, but I will. Whoop.
So an executrix is someone whose job is to mete out provisions of a will and testament, not the receiver of a will and testament. Also, executrix exclusively does imply woman, which if calling all of them executrix implies it is woman only, which I'm fine with. Just throw that out there. If that is a thing we want to do, that is what executrix implies.
I sort of like actually the implication that the person that has eaten the fish is carrying out like a last will and testament, but it's the last will and testament of the fish.
Yeah.
The memory contained within the fish.
Is there a gender neutral? Because executor it would be the
Executor.
Yeah, they would just be executors.
Oh, they're executors and they're also the executioners.
There is a sort of morbid flair to it. I think we're gonna stick with executors, and that'll work. We'll keep on a driving. So we got Viraqui and the executors are kind of our terms. Those are gonna be on the quiz, so those are your glossary terms to study.
The spelling count.
For the first quiz, no, but on the final test, yes, it does.
Oof.
So
well,
Zan,
fail
I
that
know.
one.
One thing I was curious about addressing is the fact that we have this big glass area in the back, east side and west side. So you've got the sunrise in the east and the sunset in the west.
Ooh.
So I feel like a lot of the stuff, like with the fish, when they gather there while the person is eating the fish, is probably at sunset, because that's when you get the most light effects, and it would appear the water effect through the glass is moving.
That's pretty tight.
Which means they probably lost some stuff that they were able to do when the east wall was hit and that section of glass was closed off because they lost their sunrises.
Yeah. Also, they lost their sunrises is probably the most tragic fucking thing anyone has ever said.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very sad phrase. Zad, in the gathering space, what was the first event ever held here?
They've lost their sunrises. This is true. However, one of the quirks of how the big glass chunk sets up or shades, like one of the quirks of all of the different shards and the reflective surfaces is once a year, one day a year, the sun rises in the perfect spot so that it shines through that mess of tangled glass and it hits the right spot in the sea glass dome where the gathering is. And that is the one day per year that they can see the sunrise. And that was one of the executors had gone into the prep room the night before and came out at sunrise into the sea glass dome to be celebrated for whatever new skill that they were bringing in. And the sun rose and everybody was enjoying the light of the new day for the first time in this dome that had just been completed. And all of a sudden the light faded as a sandstorm picked up, and with a heavy sigh as the sea glass dome grew dim and everybody inside grew quiet and fearful as the threat was looming, this new executor raised a hand in the direction of the rising sun, and a beam of sunlight shot out of their hand, reflected through the twisted and mangled glass, and shot into the sandstorm, and it was dispelled. And they did not see the threat for a decade since. But of course, the executor was dead. Like, nothing remained of them.
The executor literally emerges, casts one spell to dispel the threat, and then dies immediately.
Dies immediately, just puts their entire essence into that laser beam.
Man's literally said counterspell and then died.
Men would rather dispel the sandstorm that heralds the threat instead of go to therapy.
Going to therapy. You beat me to it. I couldn't unmute fast.
This was the laser beam fish. It wasn't the therapy fish.
You ate the laser fish. Oh no.
The first fish was the laser fish. We're fucked. If we ever need that again.
I need the mental health fish.
Well, and I could imagine, like, oh god, like, what if the conditions? Okay, so this is the first time they gathered in here.
After it had been reconstructed. After the
after the disaster.
lightning strike. Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if maybe even that was the first time they ate one of the fish. Maybe this is like their sort of their Easter story. Like this is the legend that they tell, where they talk about the first dude who ate the fish, and this is where they discovered this important power. Could be.
Well, that implies that the threat has been after them from the jump.
Well, maybe I'm imagining this. Like there was a 30-day sandstorm,
Mm-hmm.
and all of the people were hiding in the sanctuary, and like one, and sort of the first executor.
Oh.
Zad, you know what I'm doing here, Zad. Yeah.
So the executor comes out and like that 30-day sandstorm breaks. That's the first time that they see the sunrise, which of course like glistens within the dome and it looks very pretty, but it's like it's stuck with that melancholy of, okay, we're probably all dead after this. We've got one shot to try and make this work.
I have one thing to add though. We stated that the sanctuary was built around the pond. So that could still be something that happened, but how did they find the sanctuary and why was it empty? Because I feel like they went like eventually found a story of another time where just there were these people wandering out in the desert and they found this pond and they were so hungry that they ate one of the fish and the man saw a vision of something. Or the woman saw a vision of something and couldn't explain it, but it's like, we need to protect this.
Maybe there's like an Old Testament, New Testament thing.
Yeah.
Like that story is from the very old texts, and then the story of the first executor is from the very new texts.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah,
maybe something like that. Like everything is both true and kind of not true at the same time.
So that also leaves the questions of what happened to the Guardians who were there before that 30-day sandstorm.
I do like that the first knowledge they gained from eating one of the fish of lost knowledge was the lost knowledge that the fish contained lost knowledge.
Okay, hold on. Big brain moment. Hear me out. Bree said Guardians before the 30th sandstorm. What if they became the fish?
Oh. Like the pond's always been magic.
They ran out of fish, so they sacrificed themselves to become fish.
That's some bespoke bullshit. I
Well,
love it.
Okay, I love that. I feel like that is something we really want to explore in the battle for the sanctuary, which is coming up shortly. I do want to get. That's so cool. That's really cool. But I think the battle is definitely going to get us into some more of that stuff. I have one more question. And then I want to take 5 here. The question is for Lex. Lex, answer for the threat. Okay, what about the threat frightens the Guardians?
What could be the scariest thing you could see in a desert?
Is nothing.
Is nothing. Yeah, that's true.
What if they're invisible? Like they haven't been seen. They know that there's something that tries to get in with the sandstorm, but
Like, there's proof.
it's the unknown.
The squiggly lines, like the heat lines.
They are.
This
This
heat
is an
mirage.
audio medium, so what I'm doing doesn't translate, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Boy, do we
The
get to
heat
enjoy
ripples.
it.
Yeah, they look like a heat ripple sort of distortion, like vaguely humanoid, maybe like with sand swirling around it since they're sort of channeling the storms. And
Mhm.
maybe their main move is desiccating people, absorbing the water from them.
Is that what they're called? The desiccation?
Okay, sandstorm, mirage powers, and they just suck out the water from people. Super
Yeah.
scary and cool. Love that for us.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily invisible, but vaguely humanoid, which doesn't mean human, which is great. We love that for us. Because so far, we don't have, like, any kind of, like, monstrous inhuman threat aside from, general place that is Monster Hunter land with, like, dinosaurs and shit.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to have just like a truly inhuman creature. They are people who live for knowledge, and this creature is, by its nature, unknowable.
Yeah, completely inscrutable.
Anything you glean from it, you forget once it's gone.
Ugh. Ooh.
It's one of those, like, you forget it once you turn away. Like, you see that it's there, and then you turn away, and you're like, wasn't there something just there?
You're fully aware that you saw something, you're aware it's dangerous, but
Yeah.
you cannot remember any facts about it whatsoever.
Yeah, it's not the silence
I
from
love
Doctor
it. I
Who.
hate it.
It's like
Yeah.
it's uncertainty.
Yeah, it's a bit eldritch being-ish.
And the effect is especially pronounced if it drinks from you. Because it doesn't just sap you of hydration,
It
it
takes
literally
knowledge.
it takes knowledge out of your brain if it saps
Mhm.
you.
Get that brain juice.
They're not looking for water because they are thirsty or in a drought. They just crave the knowledge of humanity in like a sustenance kind of way.
They don't even see it as knowledge, they just see it as freaking calories.
Yeah.
Crave smart water.
Yeah.
Ah.
For them, these fish were a primary food source, not some mythical source of preternatural knowledge. It was just dinner.
Good dinner. Like, this is their favorite food.
Oh.
That's awful. They can only drink of the water of knowledge, and they don't even care about the knowledge at all.
That
Yeah.
makes it so
That's
much
what makes them so
fucking worse.
scary. That's so
Yeah.
scary.
They're out of wherever they were from, they're out of it.
What
Yeah.
if the threat was created by the people who gave this pond the water? Because, like, Ben, you had mentioned something about, like, the threat is the people who, like, gave them the special water. What if, like, these creatures, the threat was created and sent by them?
The threat is the price of the knowledge.
Mm.
Ooh.
And moreover, it's not just that they created it, it's that these are literally the remnants of the civilization that gave the water to the sanctuary.
Worst idea. The executors, when they're gone, join the threat. But that's like a maybe.
I had the thought that the threat could be guardians that didn't pass vibe check
Mm.
get to become guardians.
Oh, and they get invited.
It could be both.
Ooh, that's good.
A trend in Game Woven is the powers people get often come with like some kind of curse or price with it. So
Mhm.
like in the world where a god of knowledge went, here, have these funny fish, it also went, by the way, if you want the fish, the inscrutable will come for you.
And they're gonna suck you up like a Capri Sun.
Yep.
We'll take 5 and we'll come back, and then we're going to do the exact opposite of what we just did, which is
Yeah.
we just built the sanctuary and now we're going to fuck it up. Thank you for listening to Game Woven. Please give us a follow on Twitter at GameWoven, join the Discord, support us on Patreon, and consider leaving us a review on Apple, Spotify, or whatever host you normally use. And a special thank you to Meghan Cross, who wrote the game this week, Sanctuary, and also joined us on the cast. You can find her on Twitter at MeganLynnFTW, that's MEGHANLYNNFTW, and on itch.io with all of her games under the same name. Thank you.